Editor-in-Chief of eShade Magazine, here on the campus of UCLA at Pauley Pavilion with Bruin legend, California high school basketball legend, NBA world champion, former Laker Tracy Murray. Tracy, how you doing today?
Nice to meet you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Great to be here, man. Let's get to it. One of the things I want to talk about is coming out of high school, you were a McDonald's All-American. You led the state of California, you led the nation in scoring, averaging 44 points per game, and you became a Bruin. Talk about the tradition and how that impacted your decision to come to UCLA, and what was it like just being a part of the UCLA basketball legacy?
Well, when you're coming out of high school and that type of situation happens and you're McDonald's All-American and you narrow down your choices and you choose UCLA, it's number one, I'm at home, around people who know what I can do. Number two, you got to understand the pressure that's going to be put on you to come to this university, in which he's looking up there at our man Lou Alcindor and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for those who don't know his original name, and Bill Walton and all these guys up there, and Jamal Wilkes. When you're coming in a building where Marcus Johnson established himself, Coach Wooden and those 10 national championships and what they established and the way they set the bar, you got to understand that it's a level that you have to reach, not only individually but collectively as a team. If you don't get to that national championship status, it's pretty much a fail. So you got to know that pressure coming in. And I was up to the task, and I thought this was definitely the best place for me, to where my family can see me play as well.
Okay. And prior to coming to UCLA, as I said, high school legend, one thing that I really love seeing, I'm a big Hank Gathers fan.
Oh yeah.
And you all were on the cover of California Basketball Magazine.
Yeah, God rest his soul.
Could you talk about interacting with him? Did you play? Did you all work out together? And just a relationship with Hank Gathers?
Hank was one of the coolest dudes I ever met, and we took that shot. Was the cover of California Basketball Magazine. He led the nation and in rebounding and scoring, and I led the nation in scoring that year from high school. We developed a relationship on that shoot, and then when I was here on my campus visit to UCLA, him, Poole Richardson, and Bo Kimball all come from Philly.
Yeah.
So Derek Martin takes me to a party here on campus, a step show after party.
Okay.
So we're hanging out. In walks Poole with Bo Kimball and Hank Gathers. So we hung out and kind of talked about the shoot and just hanging around, just doing what we do, enjoying each other's company and stuff like that. And then to be able to play against him too when he was at Loyola Marymount and I was here, we developed that relationship. We always kept working out with each other in the summer because all the runs was up here in the men's gym. So him and Hank and Bo would come up and play here too. I remember clearly when he passed away. We had a game here against Washington. I turned my ankle, went into the locker room. The game was on, and something shifted over to the Loyola Marymount game. And I'm sitting on the training table watching Hank Gathers collapse. And talking about something that hurt me, man, that hurt me worse than the ankle injury, to see a fallen brother, a good friend, and at the time, you didn't know if he was alive or if he was dead, and it was just a major concern sitting in that locker room. Meanwhile, there's a game going on out here, but that's something that hurt me, and I was kind of emotional in that locker room during that time, because and then later on we found out that he died, and it was just a hard thing to deal with.
Definitely one of the greats. And
Yep.
that was a time when all levels of basketball in California were being acknowledged nationally.
Yep.
Everybody coming together, working out, being on the same page, and hoping to achieve that same goal
Oh,
of
yeah.
playing at the highest level.
Definitely, and at the same time, you said the highest level. Not only were the Lakers good, the Clippers were good at that time too. They had Ron Harper, they had Danny Manning, and Charles Smith, and all those guys. So they had that team with Mark Jackson. They went to the playoffs. They had a really good team. Odin Polynice, Benoit Benjamin. They had talent on that team, and eventually Bo ended up going to that team. But it was we learned from a lot of people on the next level, and us as college guys coming in, and even coming in from high school to go here to college and be around that type of talent. We're going to do nothing but develop.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
Now, you were drafted in '92, and in a trade, you ended up going to Portland and playing behind Clyde Drexler, one of the greatest shooting guards ever, fresh off the Dream Team at that time. Talk about your first practice and, just being in that new arena and going against him on a daily basis.
Well, the crazy thing is, the Trailblazers just came out of the finals against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. So I come into training camp, I see Clyde, see Terry Porter, see Kevin Duckworth, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams. Guys I watched play against the Lakers for years.
Yeah.
So it was definitely, a different moment. It was yeah, I'm finally here. I see
Pinch me
Clyde.
moment, I
Yeah,
made
pinch
it.
me. I'm finally here. I'm in the fire now. I'm playing with these guys, and and sitting around there getting taped and stretching and stuff. You look over and you see, a six-man candidate, a six-man of the year, Clifford Robinson, who's coming into his own. You see, I come in with Dave Johnson from Syracuse, Reggie Smith from TCU, and we were all the rookies. But then I also come in with Mario Elie, and I come in with Rod Strickland. So 5 new players added on to that stacked team.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, the talent that's in this room is crazy. It's unbelievable. And then you have workhorses like Mark Bryant, who's a veteran that loved to take youngsters under his wing and kind of teach them a little bit. So it was a great team to be a part of, to learn from. Clyde definitely took me under his wing when things got a little rough up there and not playing and getting in a little bit of trouble because of not, Portland's one of those places where it's not very entertaining. Back then, back in 92, there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
You give a 20-year-old a city with nothing to do, they're going to create something to do. That's where the problems come in. So Clyde, had a couple years there, and then a coaching change. PJ came in, Carlos and Mo, and him and Clyde didn't really see eye to eye. And PJ, one of the guys there, was going to be on the same page, and then we ended up being in the trade to Houston.
Yeah.
And Clyde, who took me under his wing, also helped get me in that trade. So that was a blessing.
Yeah, and you went to Houston and became a champion.
Yes.
Early in your career, like really early, where most people work their entire career to even try to get to the finals, and you got a ring early.
Right.
How did that experience of, seeing that, then also playing with Akeem Olajuwon, seeing that on a nightly basis, another legend, like you saw all of this. How did that help you in shaping your mindset for your career, like going forward? Because you reached the ultimate plateau in the NBA early.
Man, first of all, I to see the, Phi Slamma Jamma reunited, the two main pieces to him, to get off that plane with Clyde, for him to see Akeem, and for them to, hug each other, start laughing like little kids, man, it's like, now that's a friendship right there,
Yeah.
And these guys wanted to play with each other. They're used to playing with each other, and I saw Clyde just become this new person, because when he was playing earlier in Portland, he looked like he was aging, but boy, didn't that youth youthful Clyde Drexler come back. As soon as he put on that Houston Rocket uniform, and Mario Ellie was already there before we got there. He came from Portland, so he was used to playing with us. And for me to witness that much greatness with those two on the team, they needed a shot in the arm as well because they won the championship. You know, they were on a high for over half the season, and meanwhile, they're losing. And they were really pissed off about the Otis Thorpe trade, you know, because that was their guy.
Yeah.
You know, Otis went to war with them, and then for them to get me and Clyde and lose, you know, a big man as well. And I played with OT in Washington later on. OT is really a cool dude, but you're losing one of your guys.
They had been there.
That had been there through it, and that was a tough thing for them. It was a hard thing to go through as far as being accepted. It took us a couple of weeks. You know, it was a little bit of friction.
Yeah.
But we all worked through that, and then we started our run. And you know, there was still a little bit, you know, friction. Max left the team, and we missed Max, but Max was a good dude too.
Yeah.
You know, he was just frustrated about a few things, and you know, I've hung out with Max quite a few times, and I've always liked Mad Max. You know, Vernon was a good dude. So not having him, it hurt the team, but it also everybody realized, okay, you know, we're going on this journey, and we got to circle the wagons quick and get on the same page, and let's go ahead and repeat. And there was injuries with Carl Herrera. Max leaves. There's a couple more injuries, and I was already on the inactive list. Back then, you couldn't bring people on and off.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, I feel like I'm helpless, that I can't help. You know, and the only way I could help was in practice, preparing them for who they're playing against.
Yeah.
That was the only way I can really help. And I did the best I could with that. And, you know, when they had a meeting later on about who get full shares, who deserves this, who deserves that, you know, me and Tim Bro got a full share because we worked our behinds off to help them prepare for. And, you know, we try to be better than the guys that they were preparing for.
You played in Washington after playing in Houston, and you played with great players. You had the opportunity to play with Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, and also Rod Strickland again, which you played with in Portland. How great was Rod Strickland, and how did he help your game?
Strick was one of those guys that made the game easier on everybody. I don't care how many people you try to put on him to keep him out of the lane, he's going to get downhill, and he's going to put pressure on the defense. He can finish on shot blockers. I don't care if it's Mutombo back there, Mourning, Shaq. I don't care who's back there. He's going to find ways to finish. New York City street ball stuff that you can't teach.
Right.
And I think it's a travesty. He should have been a perennial all-star. He was a talent that can't be, a special talent that can't be duplicated, man. And he made the game so much easier on guys like me. Even when I was my rookie year playing in Portland, the spare time I got out there, we were on the second unit together because they kept their core starting unit together. So Strick was coming off the bench, and all I had to do was spot him and be ready to shoot. And he'll hit me on the dime, and I would knock it down. And fast forward to Washington, we're back on the saddle again. We already know each other. We already know how each other plays. And it's just, you just got to constantly be ready because he's a magician with the basketball.
And also in Washington, 97 playoffs, y'all played Chicago first round. So, and you all were very competitive playing against the Bulls. In that series, you know, you played against, in that year they were coming off the 70 wins, 72 wins.
Yep.
And that experience in playing against arguably the greatest team in NBA history and against the GOAT, as many people say, Michael Jordan. How was that experience being in that atmosphere as like a major contributor at that point in your career? Well,
I tell you what, it was a great experience because I took the experience from the year before when I was with the Toronto Raptors. And I finally had a breakout season. I was able to play free without looking over my shoulders. I played with Damon Stoudemire that year. And we were one of the 10 teams that they lost to.
Yeah,
Expansion team. And I had 24 and 13 that game. Or 23 and 12, I'm sorry. That game, you know, we played the Bulls tough every game. Now, if you can do it with a bunch of misfits that nobody wanted, and they just threw on the expansion team and we just said, have at it, imagine what you can do with talent out there. So, fast forward to the playoffs the next year, I'm already confident against the Bulls. I already know I can play against these guys. And then you add Rod Strickland, Calvert Chaney, Weber and Howard. You know, you have Mirasan, you know, Harvey Grant. We had Jaren Jackson, Tim Lakeman. We had talent on the team. When you have that much talent and a team that deep and a mixture of veterans and young players, we gave them problems. We gave them problems, and we knew we would. It's just that their experience and their chemistry and everything was that much better than us, and the reason why we couldn't win those games. We got swept, but it wasn't an easy sweep. Every game was close. Michael had to get 55 to beat us in game 2. They barely got by us in game 1. Game 3, it took the backdoor. Scotty went backdoor on me. I was overplaying.
Dunk fell on his back. I remember that.
Yep. And I was pissed off because it happened to be on me, and I didn't have the reputation of playing great D. But I tried to overplay him so he wouldn't touch the ball, and he cut quick, and that pass was on the dime. But that's what I mean by chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, they've been in that position so many times before. It takes plays like that to win, and they were executed 9 times out of 10.
I call it trifecta. You played your high school ball in Cali, you played college at UCLA, and then you had the opportunity to come play for the Lakers.
Yeah.
So how was it coming home playing and being able to play on a professional level at home?
It was kind of bittersweet. I was happy. First of all, I was doing a radio show. We were doing the draft, and I was on live, and I was doing it from California to Toronto radio, Fan 590, and I would always be the player that would do the analyzing of the draft, you know, because I had a good relationship with the people up there on the radio station. And so we're doing that, and all of a sudden I get a call from my agent, and I had to tell them I have to dip off the air for about 5 minutes, and then I'll come right back on. I came back on and broke the trade that I had to go to the Lakers, and they were getting Lindsey Hunter and Chris Jeffries. And that was probably the most bittersweet thing that happened to me, because I wanted to get back to Toronto. They knew what I could do. I felt like that was my second home. I felt free there. And then I'm also coming home.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm leaving a good situation, and I think they gave up on me because I had arthroscopic hip surgery that year, and they didn't think I was going to come back right. So I'm coming home. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play for Phil. I'm going to play with my boys Shaq and Cole, and I knew both of them. And I was like, B. Shaw's my dude, and Rick, I've been knowing him for years. I'm like, this is going to be a natural fit, and I can come in and help these guys. But I was also coming off of an arthroscopic hip surgery, which do I start camp on time and not be 100%? Or do I sit out and not get the reps and the chemistry and start off behind and end up behind everybody and not crack the line? So I had a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation coming back home to LA. And the pressure of being here and not playing was really hard to deal with. Really hard to deal with. There were people in the stands always walking behind the bench screaming at Phil, put Murray in. There were people at the top of the loading dock hassling Phil, use Murray, play Murray, what are you doing? But he's going to do what he wants to do. It's his team. You know what I'm saying? If he feels like I didn't fit, then he's not going to play me. And it was the hardest thing to do, to be at home and not play.
On both sides of the game, as a player, as a coach, as an analyst, And you've been a part of the game for how many years you've been?
Oh man.
How old were you when you started playing?
I started playing at 5.
At 5. Okay,
So 42 years.
42 years. You've seen all aspects of the game internationally, playing on the international level and coaching over here, being an analyst. Seeing how the game is being played today in 2019, what surprised you maybe in how the game has changed from when you first started playing to today's generation in 2019?
What surprises me is that back when I played, it was based on efficiency. If you're not shooting 50% or above, you're playing a bad game. And so you would know what a good shot is and a bad shot is based on what you can do on the court. Knowing your game inside and out, you know if those are good shots or bad shots. You know if you played a bad game if you shot below 50%. It was really, right now, I mean, it's like the wild, wild west, and everybody's shooting three-point shots. You got guys that are not capable of hitting it on a consistent basis, throwing up three-point shots because of everybody so in love with analytics.
Yeah.
And they are forgetting how to play now because of analytics. Anybody throw up a three-point shot or get to the cup and get a layup or a dunk or get fouled and go to the free throw line. That's what they base everything on. Where I ate at as a player was in the mid-range.
Yeah.
They ran me off the three-point line all day, so pump, fake, one bounce, dribble, pull-ups, that was my thing, or get to the point and step back. Those were my shots. Richard Hamilton, Reggie Miller, Mitch Richmond. I mean, you can go down the line, even Larry Bird. I mean, it's like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, all mid-range assassins. Reggie Miller, we're known for three-point shots, but we made most of our living inside the three-point line.
It keeps the defense honest, because you don't know whether they.
So that is so wide open, and no one takes advantage of it except for DeMar DeRozan, because he's not buying into that. He's buying into just playing.
Yeah.
So when you have that situation, I think that's what's killing me. You got 5 men stepping out, taking threes, and they don't even have a post move that you can go to in the post. So I'm like, there's nothing wrong with adding to your game, but make sure you have something mastered first before you add on to that. You know, and I think everybody sees Golden State winning the way they do, and Daryl Morey pretty much invented it in Houston. But if you look at those two teams, they have players or personnel that can play that system.
Yeah.
If you're in Milwaukee, you can't play that system. If you're anywhere else in the NBA, you're going to lose against those teams playing that system because they are equipped for that system.
In every spot.
Durant, Klay Thompson, Curry, Draymond, Boogie Cousins. I mean, Draymond shoots the worst out of all of them, and he can knock down the three-point shot. And he's a facilitator, the glue guy. The rest of them will kill you behind that three-point line or playing that style of game. And you don't see Shaun Livingston shooting three-point shots. He know where his bread is buttered. He's going to post up and shoot over the top of a smaller defender, or he's going to get to that mid-range, land the elbows, and knock down the shot. You know, I just think that people buy into a style, and it's, you know, you have to be entertaining. The scoring is up because of it, but I don't think it's as efficient as it should be.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. Definitely an honor to be talking to you here at Poly Pavilion. And looking forward to everything in the future. Best of luck.